Hey, I beat you guys. I beat you guys here? I had to go get some water. Cool. Right on. 20 seconds in. Hello. My hand is healing up. That hole in the middle of my hand that I put triage oil into twice. Yeah, it's healing up. Very little pain there today. Yo-Yo. Hey, Yo-Yo. Hey, four-name lady. Good evening, Yo-Yo. Thanks for the digit right off the bat, bro. Put me in the right mood. Yo-Yo. So I've got a wonderful video for you guys. Those of you guys who've been watching me over the years destroy Kyle Kalinske on Secular Talk over and over and over again. And you know the reason why I do destroy Kyle Kalinske is because I watch Kyle Kalinske. I watch him all the time, and it's not to monitor him, to wait for him to fuck up. He's taught me so much. But over the course of the last few years, I've noticed a decline in the way he thinks. I figured out before him, he still hasn't figured this out, but I figured it out, that all politicians are bad and none of them can withstand the temptations that are offered to them when they go to Washington. And yet he still sends people to Washington thinking they're going to do everything he wants them to do. I'm smarter than Kyle Kalinske in that way for sure. But, Kyle, he brings so much more. I believe he's a political science major. He understands foreign policy. He understands a lot about politics that I don't. So I get a lot out of listening to him. And I agree with him on almost everything. I do. I agree with him on 97% of the things I've heard him say. That's really good. That's good. So, Kyle, before I destroy you, which is what my whole intention here is to do, is to destroy you as you deserve to be destroyed for being weak. I want you to know I appreciate you. And I think that my audience could appreciate you too if they would just give you a chance. The fact that I rip you apart should give my audience the indication that they need to know that you mean enough to me that I spend a lot of time watching you. That being said, I spend more time watching Jimmy Dore. And the reason for that is several. Number one, Jimmy Dore keeps it way more real. He goes live constantly. That's, to me, is the number one right there. I've got access to Jimmy Dore. And Kyle keeps me and his audience far, far away. That's number one right there. They both share the same outlook politically, for the most part. It was Kyle Kalinske who brought Jimmy Dore onto YouTube, and I am forever grateful. I will forever be grateful. Hey, Killer GB, I will forever be. Yeah, I don't celebrate the 4th of July, bro. It's the United States is an imperialistic country, and I don't say Happy 4th to anybody. And I really not too great about seeing it in my chat room while I'm talking about other shit. You're so indoctrinated. And I'm sorry, my buddy Adam came in earlier with that too. So, not celebrating it, not interested in an imperialistic country that thinks that imposing their will on other people, going into their fucking countries and killing them is the way to win hearts and minds. They lost mine, didn't they? Too bad they haven't lost yours yet, Killer GB. I hope it happens soon. Hope you wake up out of that haze soon. We're not heroes, bro. Okay, never again then? Good. I hope you realize it, bro. I hope you realize how shitty the United States really is. People like Kyle Kalinske and Jimmy Dore have taught me that, among others. Lee Camp, Graham Elwood, Ronnie Placone, so many others. They've pointed out the hypocrisy, the imperialism, the lying, the politics. And this is why I watch Kyle Kalinske. He's one of those people that I always gave credit to for calling people out on their bullshit. So, understand, I consider Jimmy Dore a personal friend of mine. I consider Miserable Liberal a personal friend of mine. I consider Graham Elwood a personal friend of mine. I consider Ronnie Placone a personal friend of mine. I consider Lee Camp a personal friend of mine. But you can go back through my videos and you will find me talking shit about every single one of them, Steph Zamorano included, when they say things that I disagree with, or they say things that I think they're saying without putting any thought into them. And I will call them out for that. When they're not keeping it real, I will keep them out. And if they don't want me as a friend because of that, you know what? I totally understand. It doesn't mean I'm going to stop watching them or recommending their channels to y'all. But I want you to realize that I don't have a problem calling my friends out on their bullshit. I don't care if it's my best fucking friend, Iceman, or Dino, or if it's my friends on this channel, lots of you, and you've all been called out on your bullshit, or anybody on the internet that makes their opinion known. That's fair game. Thank you, Karen, for the 3 right off the bat. I appreciate that so much. That all being said, understand I will continue to watch Kyle. I will continue to get good information from Kyle. However, whatever I say about him on here, I want you to realize I will keep watching him. This is not an endorsement for you to stop supporting Kyle Kalinske and Secular Talk. It never has been. I never told you to stop watching his show. When he gets to that point that he jumps the shark, I will tell you to stop watching his show. You know, I said that about Tim Black. I said, you know, probably don't go over and watch Tim Black anymore. After what happened between him and Jimmy Dore. I've said that for years about the Young Turks when I've told you before to watch them. And I've told you to just stop watching them. And there was a time when I told you to stop watching H.A. Goodman too. Because he was so toxic. Until you hear those words out of my mouth, all bets are on. Until you hear me say stop watching Secular Talk, I don't expect you to stop watching him. In fact, I expect you to go over there and support him. I expect you to make a video of this. I expect you to tweet this at him. I expect you to go to his if he does a live stream or if he does a podcast or whatever, and leave comments. And support him. All right, now all of that being said, let's hear what he has to say about what Jimmy Dore and Aaron Mate said. Now, I will catch all of you up so you don't have to listen. I'm going to catch all of you up to what has happened, and it's only going to take a second. The Young Turks talked shit about Aaron Mate, claiming that he was bought off by the Russians, that he's accepting payment to report unscrupulously or inaccurately about Syria for Russia, which is just not even believable. And it's so stupid that Anna even said that. Now, throughout the course of that argument, Anna Kazmazarian, out of her back pocket, she pulled out a little ace that she's been clutching onto. And it was an apology that Jimmy Dore gave to her years ago during the Young Turks years, that he had made a comment about a skirt that she was wearing, that he could see her G-string, and he felt uncomfortable enough to the point that he said nice work skirt to her, or nice news skirt to her. And because she was getting criticized by Jimmy Dore and his audience and the rest of the world for opening up hers and Jenk's fat mouth about Aaron Mate, she pulled her ace out of her pocket and threatened Jimmy in an email saying, I'm going to tell people about this apology that you gave me for that sexist comment you made and all of the sexual harassment that she cannot document any incident at all of Jimmy Dore ever sexually harassing her, ever. Making a single comment about the fact that she was wearing something inappropriate is not sexual harassment. Suck my dick. However, I digress just a tad bit. I said I'd get through this really quick. When Kyle Kalinske went over this whole ordeal between Aaron, Jimmy, and the Young Turks, he failed to mention that Anna was blackmailing him. Even though Jimmy took that information public. Anna didn't. No. Jimmy knows enough about politics and about fame that when somebody accuses you of something horrible, whether you were involved in it or not, you expose yourself to your audience, to the world. So then, you know, it's all out in the open and it came from you, and it reduces the power of that punch by about 85%. So you take the hit and you move on. You stay clammed up about something like that, then Anna gets the jump on you and makes it seem like you are sexually, or you were sexually harassing her, and you're guilty of it because you don't want to talk about it. And anytime you don't want to talk about something, you're guilty. Look at Jordan Sheridan. Oh, guilty of rape, my friends. Guilty of rape. You know, if he was so confident about his side of the story, then why not just let his supposed victim go out publicly with her story? You know, why are you going to try to muzzle her? If she's lying, the truth will set you free. Oh, she's not lying, so you paid your law firm to threaten Tim Black. Props to Tim Black. Props to him for having that woman on his show. and exposing Jordan Sheridan, he needed to be exposed. I've so digressed, and I'm sorry if I've bored you. Let's get back to Kyle Kalinske, okay? This is his response to Aaron and Jimmy.
Obviously, I'm going to talk here about the drama between Jimmy Dore and Aaron Mate versus the Young Turks.
Okay.
So I just want to reiterate.
Okay, first statement. You know I got to make it. You know I got to go there, and I know you guys are going to agree, and I know you guys are probably all thinking the same fucking thing. What's with the goddamn orange spray tan, Kyle? What's with the goddamn orange spray tan? Dude, if when you go out in the sun and you tan and you look orange, bro, stay the fuck out of the sun. You look like an Oompa Loompa, just like Donald Trump did. And if that's your natural skin tone from being out in the sun, wear sunscreen, wear a hat, and stay the fuck out of the sun, you little orange popsicle. You fucking orange soda.
I don't want to do the segment.
You don't want to do the segment because it's the truth, Kyle, and you want to fucking stand behind the truth. You know, it doesn't matter if these guys are your friends or not. Like I said, I consider Jimmy a friend. I consider all these people friends of mine. And when they fuck up, I fucking tell them either to their face or I go on the internet and I tell people they're fucking up. Just like I'm doing right now with Kyle.
I don't want to talk about it. I've bent over backwards to stay out of this fight.
Right. I bent over backwards to not share this with my audience. I bent over backwards to not defend Jimmy Dore, my personal friend. I bent over backwards to not inform my audience about what was going on and that they should have Jimmy's back too. That's right. You cucked up, man. You fucking cucked up. That's what you did.
Now, some of you might not like that.
You're goddamn right we don't like it, and you know we don't like it, and that's why this video is getting ratioed, Kyle. God, you should see the likes to dislikes, man. It's amazing that that's his own audience.
I don't care. I don't care. I'll never hide a single thing from...
He's been hiding. That's what this video is. He's been hiding. So he's a fucking liar right now.
Any of you when it comes to policy. But when it comes to personal shit, I don't want to get involved in it. And I want to...
Hey, dude. The Young Turks inappropriately calling Aaron Mate a fucking Russian asset, that's not personal, man. That's policy. You know, those are huge, heavy hitters with 5 million viewers on YouTube claiming that Aaron Mate is a Russian spy. You know, it's not even borderline slanderous. They're possibly ruining his career and other career opportunities that he could have in the future. You know, usually Tampa Terry 54. If you can't talk about people that are gay or homosexuality appropriately, I'm just gonna block you from my stream. It's none of your business what my sexual preference is. All right.
I'll stay out of it.
Okay, now I'll just briefly comment on that, and we'll talk about it more as we go on. But it was incorrect of him to state it as drama.
All right, so let me be clear. It's not just drama.
Oh.
It's a lot more than just drama.
Right? Didn't I just say that? I said it was fucking slander. It was blackmail. I said it was blackmail. I did already say that. Slander and blackmail, and he didn't want to bring it up. Ruining Aaron Mate's career, ruining Jimmy Dore's career, accusing Jimmy Dore of sexual assault, of sexual harassment, I mean. Truth Fox 82. Hey, what's up, buddy?
A big part of it is about Syria. A big part of it is about forced
Hi, Kristen.
vote. A big part of it is about Russiagate. All of these substantive issues. Now, on the policy stuff, though, nobody has to guess where I'm at. Everybody knows exactly where I'm at. I'm on the record 1,000 times over. But that stuff is important. That stuff is substantive. I will never shy away from that stuff. The reason I call it Trump...
Man, you know how many times fucking Jimmy Dore has brought up Kyle Kalinske on his show? I just want to say, not only are they friends, but Jimmy Dore endorses Kyle Kalinske, promotes his show all the time. Would you call me sugar? Because I'm so sweet.
Trauma is because of the other stuff. Now we're talking
You
about
make me
rightly or
feel
wrongly,
like
rightly or
dabbing.
wrongly.
I want to dab along with you. You make me feel like dabbing. I want to dab along with you. You make me feel like dabbing. I want to dab along with you. Dabbing. Woo, dabbing. Woo, dab along with you. Woo, I feel like dabbing. Woo, dabbing. Woo, dab along with you. Woo, I said like dabbing. Woo, ah, you make me feel like dabbing.
We're talking about hashtag Me Too stuff. We're talking about blackmail. We're talking about people being liars and smear merchants.
Right,
and
right,
grifters and
right.
right-wingers and corrupt and every negative thing you can think of.
Right? Cheers.
When it gets that personal and people are going after integrity and motivations, yes, I'm a lot more hesitant to step in there because in order for me to comment on that stuff, man, there's so much stuff to unpack. It's hard to unpack everything. It's hard to get back to the root. It's hard to comment on every
Starting to get clogged.
So the easier thing is, hey, let me just stay out. I'll stick to the policy stuff, and you guys can handle all that other stuff. Okay, continue. I don't agree with Anna on that. She said that. It was fucked up. But as soon as I read that tweet, I said, uh-oh, here we go. This shit is about to get nuclear, because Jimmy Dore has one gear, and that gear is nuclear.
No. Jimmy Dore does not have one gear nuclear. That's not true. Jimmy Dore gets triggered by assholes and people who lie about him and lie about his friends, and then he goes out and he fucking explodes about it. But, man, 80% of Jimmy Dore's show is him being very calm and not being nuclear at all. All of you should be watching Jimmy Dore, and you can see how calm he really is. He's great, and he's funny. His comedy is very clear, level-headed. He comes up with skit ideas I've never fucking seen before. You know? The whole call-in thing with all these faux actors and getting all these hilarious skits and opinions from these people. Do you realize the very first time I caught one of those, I thought I really was hearing the actor that they were portraying, and I was like, oh my god, I was fucking blown away because I thought I was really hearing this guy, this horrible Republican say these horrible Republican things about people, and I was like, oh my god, and then I found out, it was a joke, but dude, he got me.
Okay, and well, let me just show this. So he makes it. I don't get it. It makes it sound like that's a negative. First of all,
did I just heat up? I totally forgot.
Where I'm completely level-headed and arguing in good faith for the young church.
I'm sorry.
Which
Here, I'm going to dab this time.
What he just said, that I only have one speed. But here, I don't mind people saying that. That's actually, I think it's a compliment because people.
Kyle contradicts himself all the time. How so? How does he contradict himself all the time? Let me know.
Well, we need people on the left who are going to go nuclear because they won't even go conventional. They won't even do anything. So
yeah, Jimmy will go fucking nuclear. That is for sure.
But
that's what makes
it's. I thought Kyle agreed with that.
It's the silent times. It's the low key times in between the nuclear that makes the nuclear so explosive. When he does. That's why Kyle thinks, ooh, he's nuclear all the time. You're a pussy, Kyle. Shut the fuck up. Hey, some of us are more passionate than you. What can I say?
It was on Joe Rogan. This is what they said.
Cheers.
Show.
Philly party.
Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore's fucking podcaster. He's a good friend of mine. I love Jimmy Dore. He's calling everybody out. Everybody on the left, everybody on the right.
Breathes fire.
He really does.
He breathes fire.
He doesn't
Jimmy
give a
does.
fuck. He goes hard. He was doing this.
Okay, so again, this is probably the first example of him misinterpreting intent on my part. When I said Jimmy Dore has one gear and it's nuclear, I'm not saying that in that instance with a negative or a positive connotation. I'm saying it just as an objective descriptor.
You're saying it because you're stupid and it's not factual and it didn't make sense and you're a blah, 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 blah fucking filibusterer and those words didn't even make sense, bro. Just shut the fuck up.
Now, ultimately, in my opinion, he's right. When it comes to politics, nuclear. Go nuclear all day long. We need politicians and we need media figures who are willing to go nuclear because, like I said, nobody's willing to go nuclear, and he's right about that. So when it comes to politics and the national debate, nuclear all day long, I love it, and that's what Jimmy does. However, when it comes to private matters, personal matters, dealing with friends and family, nuclear is not as preferable, and you shouldn't go to it nearly as much.
Well, he doesn't, Kyle. So, there. He plays a character on the air just like most of us do. I wish you did. I'd probably like you better.
It's not true, to be fair and to be clear. He has shown restraint at various times. But, yes, one of the criticisms is, and I think you'll see this throughout the course of the video here,
Look at Kyle Stubble. So
he
cute.
misinterprets a number of things,
Little stubbly.
and he does end up going nuclear, perhaps inadvertently, but he ends up going nuclear on me when we've already established that, hold on, I'm a good faith actor and I mean well and my criticisms are coming from a place of good faith, but then you end up going nuclear on me. So, yes, the nuclear nature that's good at the political level,
Let's speed this up.
might not be as beneficial at the friendship level or at the personal level. Continue. Crystal and I were planning to have Jimmy on Crystal Kyle and Friends one day. We were planning to have Jake on Crystal Kyle and Friends one day. And then as we watched this, we decided, you know what? We don't want to have either one of them on right now. Because
And I'll tell you why you didn't want to have either one of them on right now. It's because you were not able to look at the situation, size it up, see what it was for what it was, and conduct yourself like a news person, Kyle, which is what a news person does. You, and I specifically remember this, you did a whole segment about Andrew Cuomo going on his brother Chris Cuomo's CNN show and receiving softball questions and not getting driven down on. You went crazy about fucking Chris Cuomo being a shitty reporter because he wouldn't fucking put his personal ties with the person he was interviewing to the side and ask the real tough questions, right? Jimmy's not even your brother, Kyle. I mean, those guys are fucking blood brothers. Same mommy, same daddy. They even look and sound alike. They grew up in the same house together, man. And you're scared to ask Jimmy and Jake fucking questions because of your friendship? If you kept it real, Kyle, both of those guys would still respect you and be your friend as long as you were truthful and honest. Hey, man, if Jake actually expects you to lie for him or Anna expects you to lie for her and you still want to be friends with them, that makes you a cuck bitch, Kyle. That makes you a cuck bitch.
yes, then we would be responsible for getting in the middle of this absolute mess. And we would have to ask,
Hey, Truth Fox 82, I'm going to ask you one more time. What is it? You said Kyle contradicts himself all the time. So I'm asking you again. How does he contradict himself? Thanks. Thanks for answering my question this time, hopefully.
really uncomfortable questions that are really personal in nature, and I don't want to have anything to do with some personal shit.
That's not true.
Nothing at all.
It's not
I
true.
care about policy. I don't care about personal shit.
Bullshit.
When I said there,
It's not true. Kyle talks about personal shit all the time. I can tell you all kinds of personal shit about Kyle. I can tell you about the fucking drugs he uses to this day. Oh, he snorts cocaine. Oh, yeah. He does Adderall. He pops fucking pills. He takes fucking Xanny bars so he can come off the cocaine. Guaranteed, guys. I know all about this guy. He's a fuck up, man. He's young. He's still experimenting.
listen, if he comes on Crystal Kyle and Friends, I'm obligated. I have a responsibility to ask questions about this. Now, I'm going to ask questions, not that I think
Don Schooley, what's up, brother? How are you, man? Good to hear from you, man.
are unfair, not that I think feed into the smear or validate the smear. I would ask a question like, hey, when they threatened you, when Anna threatened you, when she effectively blackmailed you, and you were swatting aside the allegations, it was an unfair situation. But in retrospect, do you feel like you worded everything right? Or would you sort of change the way you did it because you did go a little too far, talk about she's dressing inappropriately and effectively slut-shamed her?
Dude, he was not slut-shaming Anna. You know what? If you're not a slut, you can't be slut-shamed. He wasn't slut-shaming her. And if you feel like she was being slut-shamed, then she's a fucking slut. Because, let me tell you something. All Jimmy said was, nice work skirt or nice news skirt, Anna. When she bent over and everybody in the room could see her fucking G-string. That's inappropriate. He was making a comment that was out of anger and disgust. He didn't want to see her like that. He wanted to have a professional relationship with her, Kyle. There's nothing inappropriate or slut-shaming. However, Anna was and still is a fucking slut. The other day, we were talking about her being a slut, wearing kind of inappropriate clothes. She was wearing a fucking see-through lace top while we're having the conversation. I'm so unattracted to her, I didn't even notice. It was so funny. And then, okay, all the time is an exaggeration. He just changes his tone here and there depending on the company he's with. That I agree with. Yes, he is definitely a chameleon. Yeah, like when he was with Joe Rogan, he was totally acting different than when he's sitting there with Crystal. Totally different person. Yeah, or when he's by himself. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And it's like he's not intentionally doing it. You know, luckily me, I can always say I'm playing characters. I'm playing characters until I do an interview. But he's sitting there with people, you know, acting differently and acting weird. And, you know, dude, when I go on somebody else's podcast, you're going to see, man, it's not going to be Trendy Nay. Unless they say we want Trendy Nay on the show. And then I will do that for them. But in my opinion, when I do interviews, I want to be Ben Shader and I want to be the real deal. You know, and I want to talk about what I do on this show as a character. You know, I want to be taken seriously. Which, unfortunately, because of the character I play and the words that I choose and the people that I attack, it's very hard for a lot of people to take me seriously, man. You know, I could go through the list right now and I could tell you, Cy Mandan doesn't take me seriously. Professor Dave Explains won't return a fucking email. Richard Medhurst won't return a fucking email. And, you know, I gave up on them a long time ago, and I wasn't that persistent. I sent them maybe 3 or 4 over a period of a fucking year, you know, tops. And I wasn't persistent or anything like that. I thought if they wanted to do it, I was going to give them the opportunity to say, hey, I forgot, or it got pushed down in my email or whatever. That was it. I didn't hear back. It's fucking rude. It's obnoxious. Hey, man, let me tell you something. The guy that plays this character, he's fucking pissed about that shit. You know? I mean, what Trendy Nay says right here, it doesn't really hit home because, it's like I said, it's a fucking character. But let me tell you, the real person behind this character, not really happy with those people in real life. And you know what? That's not a good thing. That's not a good place to be, man. Because that guy keeps it real. You think I keep it real? You should see Ben Shader keeping it fucking real. You guys don't even want that shit because it's no fun. This is fun. I like having fun. I'm here to have fun. Let's have more fun with Kyle and friends.
In retrospect, how do you feel about how you handled that? Now listen, this is an example of, I think that's a perfectly valid and substantive question. I
Bong
think that's
rip?
a question that validates a smear. I think that's a question a lot of people want to know the answer to. A lot of fair
You guys are
questions
sharing
know the
this.
answer
Thank
to.
you so much.
Here's the problem.
Cheers.
We're at an impasse. I think that's a perfectly fair question, and I would feel obligated. I would feel a responsibility to ask that question if he came on Crystal Kyle and Friends. And I know Jimmy does not agree. Jimmy thinks that's an unfair question. He thinks it's unfair, and he definitely thinks it validates the smear. And so now, what are we supposed to do? We're at an impasse. I feel an obligation. I feel a responsibility to ask a tough, private, fair question. He thinks that's an unfair question. In my opinion, the best solution, and since Jimmy's my friend, this is what I fell back on, is let's just not have him on. Let's just not have him on, we don't have to ask the question. That's what I was thinking. Now, people could actually come after me from the opposite perspective on this and say, if anything, that's not fair, and that's weak of Kyle, because he's basically covering for his friend Jimmy. He was going to ask him a tough but fair question, but he'd rather dodge and punt and not have him on the show at all. So
Yo, thank you for the digit.
And to that I say, I'm kind of guilty of that criticism.
Karen McDonald, thank you
Yes,
for the digit.
That was one of the reasons. I didn't want to
Steven.
jeopardize my friendship with him by asking him what I thought was a tough but fair question and he thought was an unfair question. I didn't want to jeopardize my friendship with him. I also...
Stephen Culbertson, thank you. You don't jeopardize your question when you keep it real with your friends, bro. You know, when I ask my friends, yo, you been doing something I need to know about? You know, I'm not worried about jeopardizing my friendship. I'm worried about my friends' overall well-being, and I want to help them as a friend. And I'm willing to be uncomfortable. I'm willing to put myself in a situation where they're going to be uncomfortable so that we could talk about it, and I might be able to do something to save their life. There's something really phony and transparent about the way Kyle is unwilling to confront both Jank and Jimmy. Now, Jank and Kyle built the Justice Democrats together. And Kyle and Jimmy have their own personal relationship as well. It's and a working relationship. It's obvious, you know. However, Kyle, you're a big boy now. You're in your 30s, and you're old enough to realize that the choice of career that you took demands that you keep it real with everybody all the time. You know, I'm over here with my cannabis and growing and playing guitar, and yeah, I talk about news, and who fucking cares? Because I'm doing the cannabis and the growing and the triage, and I'm all over the place. I'm a freaking mess, a multi-personality, crazy guy, whatever. You know, you put on the jacket, you know, you have the show, you have the fancy sign behind you. And, you know, the real award from YouTube. This is your choice, bro. So if you're going to do that, then you need to look at the people who've come before you. Okay? That's how you do it. I look at Jack Harrer. I try to learn from him, right? He's my inspiration, right? He's my guru. He's my go-to. It's where I get all my information from. Luckily, I was lucky enough that my guru put everything down in a book. I can just find out what the guy was, where his head was, what he was thinking, read his interviews and hear all that stuff. And it helps guide me. What the people I believe Kyle should look at are the great journalists of the past or of the present. And, you know, not the great interviewers per se, not per se, but great as a journalist. And yeah, they interview people, and yeah, they anchor, and yeah, they go out on the street, and yeah, they do all of these things. And the one thing they never do is pull their punches when they ask people questions, no matter who they are. And then when someone like Chris Cuomo does that for his brother Andrew Cuomo and pulls punches, and then you call them out for it, you have to realize, Kyle, you've got to step up your game and act like a fucking journalist. Your job is to call out Jimmy. Your job is to call out Cenk and Anna, and to let the facts fall where they may and let your audience decide. Your job is not to weigh how your precious little friendships are going to be affected by the questions that you ask, because you immediately throw your reputation down the fucking toilet. You have nothing left when you decide to sell out. And that's what you did, Kyle. You sold out. And we're going to back up about 2 minutes, and I want you to listen to everything that Kyle just said here. I'm going to slow it down so you can listen to what he said. This is a fucking sellout and a cop-out.
Now, I'm going to ask questions, not that I think are unfair, not that I think feed into the smear or validate the smear. I would ask a question like, hey, when they threatened you, when Anna threatened you, when she effectively blackmailed you, and you were swatting aside the allegations, it was an unfair situation. But in retrospect, do you feel like you worded everything right? Or would you sort of change the way you did it because you did go a little too far, talk about she's dressing inappropriately and effectively slut-shamed her?
He just called Jimmy Dore a slut-shamer. Effectively slut-shaming her. He's wrong. Hey, Chuckles, what's up, brother? Hey, Tonka. 5 years of joining Nay on the 4th. Love this man and his show, keeping a vet like myself grounded and away from the boom. Right on, brother. I love you, Tonka. Holy shit. You the first time you saw my show was on July 4th? 5+ years ago. Okay, let's keep going. Chuckles, you're going to get your song later if you wait around. We're right in the middle of this.
In retrospect, how do you feel about how you handled that? Now listen, this is an example of, I think that's a perfectly valid and substantive question. I don't think that's a question that validates a smear. I think that's a question a lot of people want to know the answer to. A lot of fair-minded people want to know the answer to. Here's the problem.
The question was a smear. Let's go back, shall we? The question was a smear.
A little too far, talk about she's dressing inappropriately and effectively slut-shamed her. In retrospect, a little too far, talk about she's dressing inappropriately and effectively slut-shamed her. A little too far, talk about she's dressing inappropriately and effectively slut-shamed her. A little too far, talk about she's dressing inappropriately and effectively slut-shamed her. A little too far, talk about she's dressing inappropriately and effectively slut-shamed her. A little too far, talk about she's dressing inappropriately, and effectively slut-shamed her.
Hey, Kyle, should a woman be allowed to bend over and show you her fucking G-string at work? Should that be acceptable behavior? Or should she get reprimanded and fired or sued for her being the sexual harasser? You know, I would love to see Jimmy Dore. I'm going to put this on Twitter right now. Watch this. Who is this? Crypto Cult? Let's go to I'm gonna rely on you guys, okay? The channel that I talked to Jimmy Dore on is Nay's Garden. So I'm gonna go to the Nay's Garden channel. I'm gonna post this, and I really hope that you guys will consider retweeting this immediately on Twitter at Nay's Garden and at Jimmy Dore and at Miserable Lib and at Graham Elwood and at Kyle Kalinske and at Secular Talk, whatever, everybody, just all of them. All right, here we go. Jimmy_Dore. Did I spell inappropriately correct? Holy shit, I'm getting good. I think it would be amazing if Jimmy Dore would sue Anna Kasparian, Jank, and TYT for sexual harassment when Anna exposed herself inappropriately to Jimmy and others in the TYT office. Now I'm going to add that to all of my profiles. Nay's Garden Show. Shaderman. What's my other ones? Crypto Cult. Crypto Cult, sure, 420. And what's my other one? Nay Trendy. Nay Trendy. Nay_Trendy. Nay_Trendy is my other one. So you got Nay's Garden Show. You got Nay Trendy, right? So there's three that start with Nay. Nay_Trendy. Then you got Crypto Cult 420, and then you got Shader Ben. I think it would be amazing if at Jimmy Dore would sue Anna Kasparian, Jank, and TYT for sexual harassment when Anna exposed herself inappropriately to Jimmy and others in the TYT office. I think Anna's email would serve as solid evidence. Anna's email would serve as solid evidence. I knew I had to use the word, instead of using the word and, I used the and symbol because I only had 2 characters left. That's so funny. I'm tweeting that shit. Get on it. What? There's only one woman or reason would do that. It's not good. That's a little slutty, huh? Like, you can't slut shame a girl when she's acting like a slut. You know, if I'm driving down the road with my friend, I don't know, let's say Cobra Dad and I are driving down the streets of Oakland, and we're driving down the road, and we roll down the window and we see a couple hookers walking down the road, and we go, wow, nice work clothes, ladies. We're not slut-shaming. They're wearing clothes that are provocative so that they can have sexual encounters, right? Cobra Dad! Let's keep going, shall we?
In retrospect, how do you feel about how you handled that? Now listen, this is an example of, I think that's a perfectly valid and substantive question.
I want you guys to know I haven't watched this yet.
Think that's a question that validates a smear. I think that's a question a lot of people want to know the answer to. A lot of fair-minded people want to know the answer to. Here's the problem. We're at an impasse. I think that's a perfectly fair question, and I would feel...
It's not, because in the question you said that Jimmy Dore was slut-shaming Anna. It's not a perfectly good question. This is the problem, Kyle. You're not keeping it real. You're trying to defend Anna. You're an idiot. God, the whole table shook when I said that.
Obligated. I would feel a responsibility to ask that question if he came on Crystal, Kyle, and Friends. And I know Jimmy does not agree. Jimmy thinks that's an unfair question. He thinks it's unfair, and he definitely thinks it validates the smear.
Right.
And so now...
I agree.
What are we supposed to do?
You're supposed to do it right.
I feel an obligation. I feel a responsibility to ask a tough, but I think fair question.
Oh, I got it, Kyle. Talk to me about it, bro. I can explain how it wasn't slut-shaming. She showed the office her G-string, bro. She was wearing a skirt so short that when she bent over, everybody could see where her genitalia would be if it weren't for just a little tiny piece of cloth. That's fucking sexual harassment, bro. If a man exposes himself like that in an office, he gets fucking fired. You know, she needs to have a nice fat lawsuit of sexual harassment against her for exposing herself to the office. Have I made myself clear?
That's an unfair question.
She is a slut.
In my opinion, the best solution, and since Jimmy's my friend, this is what I fell back on, is let's just not have...
Hey, we got a sunbeam! Look at this! Look at us! Hey! Look at... I'm so happy.
That's what I was thinking.
I got my rock!
Now...
I got my buds!
Actually come after me from the opposite perspective on this and say, if anything, that's not fair, and that's weak of Kyle, because...
It's not about fair.
He's basically covering for his friend Jimmy. He was gonna...
It's what do you mean, fair? It's fucking stupid. It's not even true, Kyle. He's not slut-shaming anybody. He's just saying what happened and how he responded, and that Anna was the one acting inappropriately, and if anybody needs to be punished, it needs to be Anna Kasparian, and I'm glad she is. She's getting ratioed like a motherfucker, just like Kyle is. He's getting ratioed on this video. You should see the likes to dislikes on it. It's fucking crazy.
I ask him a tough but fair question, but he'd rather dodge and punt and not have him on the show at all, so he doesn't have to ask him that tough question. And to that I say, I'm kind of guilty of that criticism. Yes, I mean, that was one of the reasons. I didn't want to jeopardize my friendship with him by asking him what I thought was a tough but fair question and he thought was an unfair question. I didn't want to jeopardize my friendship with him. I also didn't want to have to argue about...
If you kept it real, you wouldn't be jeopardizing anything. That question isn't keeping it real, bro. It's being accusatory and it's wrong.
The legitimacy of a question that I think is very legitimate. You know what I mean? I didn't want to get into the personal argument and have personal strife over that. So, and understand something, guys. We had Vosh on the podcast, and he previously accused me and Crystal being grifters and every negative thing under the sun, and so we had to talk about that. Was it a little awkward? Absolutely. No, I don't even know Vosh that well. We had Andrew Yang on the podcast. I don't know Andrew Yang at all. We had to press him on BDS, and he basically was like, Israel killing civilians is totally fine, and killing children is fine. We had to push him on all these things. It was awkward, and I don't even know them that well. Jimmy, I know pretty well, and my question for him would be even more awkward and more personal, and I didn't want to do it.
Because your question was inappropriate and not correct. Like I said, Jimmy's not slut-shaming, Anna's acting like a slut.
And I didn't want to do it.
We're spending a lot of time on this, Kyle.
I didn't want to ask him about it. but I would have felt like a fraud if I didn't ask him a tough but fair question like that. So what did I do? I did what I thought was the better thing for me, so I don't want to deal with personal strife, but also for him, because he didn't give me a fair question, and so I punted. I didn't want to know. So when he's talking there, shaking his head saying that's not true, when what I'm saying is definitely true. My point is, if I have you on, I have to have I don't have a choice. I view it as my responsibility, my obligation. See, that's the problem. We're now at an impasse, and we're never going to see eye to eye on that. And so, even though I agree with Jimmy completely,
Hey, Steamroller.
Effectively, he was.
Hey, Josh.
Blackmailed. He was threatened, and it's unfair. And he has every right to swat aside those allegations, and I'm happy he did, and he should do that. But the way he did it went a little overboard, and he was slut-shaming out. I'm sorry, I think that's a fact, even though Jimmy's my friend. And so I would have had to ask him a question on that. He's shaking his head like, no. In other words, Jimmy wanted to come on the podcast and also just not have me ask anything about that. Or if I did ask anything about that, frame it 100% from his perspective. Well, Jimmy, I got bad news for you, man. In this whole debate and argument, I'm probably 85 or 90% with you, and I'm only 10%.
Hey, whoa. Jimmy didn't say he wanted to come on your show and have you frame it anyway. All Jimmy said was he wanted to have you on his show, and it's fucked up the way you and the Young Turks are framing it. You're a fucking dumbass. The way Kyle is trying to play word salad here with all of this is crazy. I can't believe how much he's talking and just saying the same thing over and over again.
10 or 15% with TYT, but I'm going to have to ask the questions for that 10 or 15% because that's me being intellectually honest, and I can't not be intellectually honest. Okay, let's continue.
Well, if you care about policy, then why not, and you recognize that the smear of me was ridiculous, why not just call it out to begin with? Because, look, my problem here is that when people stay silent on something so egregious as slander, then you're giving sort of tacit endorsement to it, even if you think it's obvious what everyone's going to think your opinion is. If prominent people on the left say nothing when someone gets accused of working for Russia or for dictators, I see that as a tacit green light.
Here's why I totally disagree with that. He says, if I don't speak up on it, it's a tacit endorsement of the smears. I was smeared by Mike Cernovich when he dug up all my old tweets and wrote an article calling me a sexist and a racist and a bigot and every negative thing on.
Yeah, well, who the fuck are you? You're some fucking YouTube podcaster. Aaron Mate's a fucking legitimate reporter.
For the Sun. Not a single lefty defended me. Not a single one. I'm not mad about that. It's not their responsibility. I'm not entitled to their defense. And you know what? I don't look at that and say, Aaron Mate agrees with Mike Cernovich's smears with me because he didn't say anything. That's a tacit endorsement. That's tacit agreement with what Mike Cernovich said. I simply don't agree with that. It's not your fight. It's not your battle. And everybody's getting smeared on a daily basis. You can't keep up with all this stuff anyway. In the case of Crystal, Nathan J. Robinson wrote an article basically saying Crystal works with populist right and Simon Betty, the populist right. The most successful people on the populist right were the Nazis. Therefore, Crystal is emboldening and enabling Nazism. The article was insane. She was deeply hurt by that article.
He's using Crystal as a human shield right now. That's fucked up.
Not a single, actually, Glenn Greenwald defender, because that's his beat. He cared a lot about that. But very few people defend her. I did and Glenn did, and that's pretty much it. Now, if Aaron didn't say anything on that, or...
Hey, Phil. No flags in my live stream, right? Philip Palazzolo? What do you mean living in Nays America? Why are you putting a fucking flag in my live stream? Answer me so I can get on with my show, Philip. I know you guys hear me when I ask you this shit, so just fucking answer me. What are you doing? You gonna answer me? Can you guys hear me? Can the rest of you guys hear me? Right? All right, Philip, I'm just going to block you. Fuck off. How about that? Bye. Since you don't want to answer me. Don't put flags. Don't ever put a fucking flag in my live stream, bro.
Because she doesn't view just not jumping in the middle of it as a tacit endorsement of it or tacit agreement of it. So on this front, Aaron, we're just going to fundamentally disagree. And by the way, I think maybe the most important point is you win, dude, because I actually agree with you completely. And so when I felt like my hand was forced and I had to jump in the debate, what did I say? Go watch my last video. I said you were totally smeared. It's completely fucked up. Totally denounce it. Should have never happened. The smear was so stupid I was literally laughing as I listened to it. And by the way, I think you're a great journalist. I do. I think you're a wonderful journalist. And, you know, I've cited the OPCW report 1,000 times.
It's funny.
So
the smear was funny.
That's just a fun.
The smear was funny. They said he's a fucking Russian spy, dude. And she's told him to fuck off. She goes, yeah, fuck you, you're paid by the Russians or some shit. He says, and then Jake goes, yeah, you'll be real cozy in your Russian blanket to Aaron Mate. Wishing death on children that they get gassed or some shit like that.
Fundamental disagreement. And I want to point something out again here. Early on in the clip, it was very, he operates in good faith, he's an honest actor. And then now here we are again, where since I didn't say anything, I didn't jump in immediately. Well, that's actually a tacit endorsement of the smear merchants. That's a stretch, man.
Well, what happened was they booked me like a month earlier, right? So like on June 1st, I was texting with Crystal, and I said, she asked me to tweet out their new show. She's like, hey, could you help promote our new show? And I said, done, I did it. I helped promote their new show. And she said, I said, looking forward to Kyle, KKF. Kyle has not floated any dates to me yet. And she said, all right, I'll bug him, and thank you. You've always been so good to us, and I am truly grateful. And so you heard Kyle also refer to me on the Joe Rogan clip as his good friend. So the way they treated me after this was not like you would treat a friend or even an enemy. The way they treated me was unbelievably rude and unprofessional to the extreme.
So this is where it gets upsetting, because Jimmy is about to get into, he views a lot of the things that he's about to explain, he views a lot of them as like really terrible slights. And like Crystal and I taking pot shots and being super rude, bordering on evil to him. And all I can say, and I'll break it down as we go along here, is...
Dude, I think I've blocked 3 people. And, you know, and somebody comes in here and makes a stupid fucking comment and puts a flag and knows how I feel about fucking flags on my live stream and puts a fucking comment like that and doesn't respond, I'm going to fucking block them.
Reading too much into it, misinterpreting it. None of this had any malice or malintent whatsoever.
He's spent enough time in my live stream to know better.
A little bit. And, you know, this is what I mean when I say he's got that nuclear gear and he's going nuclear. I mean, listen, he's showing private texts here. I'm not going to make a big deal of it. He's going to show one of mine in a second as well. But I do think if the roles were reversed and I was showing his text to me and without his approval, I do think he would view that as like inexcusable on its own. Listen, again, I think Jimmy means well. I think he's an honest guy. I think he's a very passionate guy. But I do think this is an area where he's just going to misinterpret and view a lot of things as slights that are not at all slights. Continue.
So you see that I have a date booked. So she gives me the date, and I pick June 24th. So when June 24th comes around, I'm ready to go do the show. And I realize they haven't given me a link. They haven't nothing. There's no text reminding me, no nothing. So we're supposed to go at 10 a.m. And at 5 to 10, I texted them both saying, hey, I have this on my calendar today. Are we still doing it? And they ghosted me. So they decided not to have me on the show, and they didn't tell me. They didn't
what a bunch of dicks.
And they didn't respond to my text.
What a dick.
They just ghosted me.
He's gonna be like, in all honesty, my phone wasn't plugged in. In all honesty, I was on vacation. In all honesty, I hadn't checked my messages. I don't check my messages. Blah, blah, watch. He'll have some excuse.
My text, are we doing a show today? My calendar says we are. And Kyle says, hey, Jimmy. So again, that's 2 hours later, 2.5 hours later, after they ghosted me, he says, hey, Jimmy, we are trying to stay as far away from the war between you and Aaron and TYT as possible. On the policy, we agree much more with you, Russia, Syria, force the vote, etc. We're disturbed by Anna's attacks on Aaron, but we also didn't like the way you talked about Anna's dress. What? The F and F? Are you kidding me? That's my
We also didn't like the way you talked about Anna's dress.
Again, I would have had to ask you about that, man. I didn't want to ask you about that. And I would have asked you, again, in what I view as a completely fair way. Yes, I think that they threatened you, and that's totally unfair and it's totally unjust. You have every right to swat aside those allegations, and I'm glad you did. But when you did go overboard, and you did slut-shame her. So I think it would have been a fair question to say, hey, do you think you went a little too far in the language that you used afterwards?
He's already judged. You've slut-shamed her. He says you slut-shamed her. You slut-shamed her. You slut-shamed her. Jimmy Dore never slut-shamed Anna. Anna is a slut, and Jimmy did not slut-shame her. What he told her was, hey, Anna, stop acting like a slut. That's not slut-shaming. When a woman is acting like a slut, you tell them to stop acting like a slut.
No, you don't think it's fair. I think that's a fair question. And so I would have had to ask that question. And so in my opinion, the best thing I could possibly do was get as far away from the situation as possible and not have any of you guys on the show. Now, instead of trying for a second to see maybe why I would take this position, he's viewing it as a phenomenal
Why does this always come back to this? Excuse me. Why does this always come back to the same argument every time?
slight. Now, by the way, let me correct the record here. He says we ghosted him. Jimmy, we didn't ghost you. We responded literally as soon as we could. We were recording a show, which is why it took over 2 hours for us to respond to you. But as soon as we saw your text, we responded. We talked for about 5 minutes to try to determine what the best response would be, and we decided to be completely honest. Be completely honest. Hey, we want to get as far away from the war as possible.
You know, nothing like waiting until the last minute, Kyle. That is the stupidest fucking excuse. You know, you guys should have figured this out and given Jimmy notice so he could have gotten a different schedule and done whatever. You know, like Jimmy doesn't deserve a fucking text to be like, hey, man, we're going to cancel for whatever reason. And he'd be like, okay, thank you. We'll see you next time.
You know, we hope you understand. And honestly, we're so naive, we thought there was a chance you'd be like, yeah, you know, I get it. It's gotten ugly. There's blackmail, and there's #MeToo stuff, and, you know, you guys are going for each other's intentions, and you're saying you're grifters, and, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if some of this ended up in court, so I wouldn't, you know, I don't blame you for not wanting to get involved. But he didn't see it like that. He didn't see it like that. Now, it's time for an apology, though, because he's right about something here, and it's a very important thing, and I want to make no excuses for it whatsoever. We were flat out wrong to do it. We should have told him the day before, or the day before that. We should have told him at some point leading up to the interview that, hey, man, we don't think we can do it. We don't want to do it. We want to be as far away from this as possible. And also, I just don't want to ask you a question that I know you think is unfair, but I think is perfectly fair. So we should have done that, and we didn't do that. And honestly, there's no excuse for it. I will tell you what we were thinking. Again, this isn't an excuse. This isn't a rationalization. This is just what was going on in our minds at the time. Honestly, we were afraid of the argument that would come when we told you, hey, we don't want to have you on. We don't want to have Jank or Anna either, but, like, we don't want to have you on. We were...
He's just admitting that they fucking ghosted him. We were afraid of the argument when we tell you we're not going to have you on. Can you believe this? What a pussy. He can't do his fucking job, man. I mean, I could yell and scream about this shit, but you guys, Kyle's digging his own freaking grave here.
We're very afraid, hey, it's possible when we say this, that he might get really angry and view us as, like, the enemy. And, you know, that's kind of what happened. He took that as a slight, and he viewed it as, you know, now we're the enemy. And we were trying to...
No, he didn't view it as you're the enemy. He viewed it as you disrespected him. You didn't give him common courtesy that podcasters should give each other when they can't make a date. Or when a date is being canceled for whatever reason. You failed to do your job, Kyle. You failed to be professional. You have not been acting professional at all lately. With your little jacket... You know, in between the rails of cocaine that you're snorting and the pills that you're popping to come down off your cocaine, I think it's having an effect on you, bro.
Part of the problem, too, is that I'm a non-confrontational guy. I don't want confrontation ever on the personal level, right? Like, I can scream on the show and whatnot, but it's all in the abstract. It's all political. But on the personal level, like, every step of the way, I wanted to figure out how to de-escalate and make it so that, you know, nobody's mad at me. Like, I wanted to salvage my friendship with Jimmy while also being completely honest with how I felt about the situation.
So he wanted to make it all about him. Kyle just said, I wanted to make this all about me. Listen. 1 minute ago.
Hey, we don't want to have you on. We don't want to have Jank or Anna either, but, like, we don't want to have you on. We were very afraid, hey, it's possible when we say this, that he might get really angry and view us as, like, the enemy. And, you know, that's kind of what happened. He took that as a slight, and he viewed it as, you know, now we're the enemy. And we were trying to...
He only took it as a slight because you guys waited till the last second. You guys were dicks about it. And also the fact that you're not giving him his voice. That's shitty, too. You guys are just shitty.
Every step of the way, and this was part of the problem, too, is that I'm a non-confrontational guy. I don't want confrontation ever on the personal level, right? Like,
You have to like confrontation if you want to do what you do, bro. You know, you want to cover these stories. You want to call people out. You got to be ready for the confrontation. You know, what's wrong with you? Why are you not confident? You're not confident in your truth? Oh. I'm sorry, I'm a little slow. It took me a while to get to that, but I think I just finally figured it out. He's not confident about his incorrect spin on this situation because he knows he is lying for Anna. Now it all makes sense.
Scream on the show and whatnot, but it's all in the abstract. It's all political. But on the personal level, like, every step of the way, I wanted to figure out how to de-escalate and make it so that, you know, nobody's mad at me. Like, I wanted to salvage my friendship with Jimmy while also being completely honest with how I felt about the situation, and make it so that, you know, nobody's mad at me. And make it so that, you know, nobody's mad at me. And make it so that, you know, nobody's mad at me. And make it so that, you know, nobody's mad at me. And make it so that, you know, nobody's mad at me. And make it so that, you know, nobody's mad at me. And make it so that, you know, nobody's mad at me. And make it so that, you know, nobody's mad at me. And make it so that, you know, nobody's mad at me. And make it so that, you know, nobody's mad at me. And make it so that, you know, nobody's mad at me. And make it so that, you know, nobody's mad at me. And make it so that, you know, nobody's mad at me. And make it so that, you know, nobody's mad at me. And make it so that, you know, nobody's mad at me. And make it so that, you know, nobody's mad at me.
That's not what a journalist does, Kyle. You don't make anything. It's not your job to make anything. It's your job to just ask questions and to keep it real. And if you would just keep it real with Jimmy and keep it real with Jenk and keep it real with Anna and just ask real questions instead of presumptuous questions, questions that include some sort of a declaration of guilt on Jimmy Dore, which is what your question is. What? Hey, Jimmy Dore, why are you slut-shaming Anna? Hey, Kyle, fuck you with me frothing at the mouth and jumping up out of this chair, knocking glass over, and fucking screaming at you and punching my monitor and making my fist bleed.
I wanted to salvage my friendship with Jimmy while also being completely honest with how I felt about the situation. And so I figured the best way to do that is just to stay out and not have anybody on the show. Because if I don't have Jimmy on the show, I don't have to ask him about, hey.
If I don't have Jimmy on the show, I don't have to ask him. If I don't have Jimmy on the show, I don't have to do the work and risk my friendship. And once again, I say, you are accusing Jimmy Dore. You are already judge and jury and executioner of Jimmy Dore slut-shaming Anna. I don't know where you get your evidence from, Kyle. But this is what I propose to you, Kyle. Put something together, okay? You put something together. Show me Jimmy Dore slut-shaming Anna Kasparian. Show me. All right? Show it to me, and so I can understand more from where you're coming from, okay? Because right now, I completely see this as a unfounded attack on Jimmy. That Jimmy, not only doesn't he deserve, when he should be having your 100% support, not you saying he's 85%. You know, or what was it? You gave them 15%. Well, TYT is 15% because he's slut-shaming. No! We got to start from that point right there, Kyle.
Hey, didn't you go overboard a little bit with your language when you were swatting aside allegations? Didn't you slut-shame? So I figured, hey, man, I can keep my integrity because I'm not lying. I'm just not talking about the issue. I can keep my integrity, and I can keep my friendship with him if, you know, he doesn't come on the show. Well, unfortunately, he didn't, you know, think that we had a good reason for not wanting him on. He got very angry. Let's continue.
So I sent them a text back, and here it is, but I'll read it to you. I said, I'm stunned by this. You are trying to draw a ridiculous false equivalency that ultimately takes the sides of a blackmailing and smearing of me and a McCarthyite smear of Aaron. The way I talked about Anna's dress amounted to me saying nice news skirt. I told this joke at a time when Anna and Jake were doing segments such as mocking Britney Spears' old cooch in their effort to become the Howard Stern show. And the way I responded to Anna's embarrassment at my joke was to apologize and send her a card, immediately, without a pressure campaign or threat of blackmail, as a friend would do. You are somehow trying to draw an equivalency between that incident 7 years ago and what Anna and Jake are doing now.
Let me be as clear as I can be. I'm not at all drawing an equivalency. There's a difference between a false equivalence and just saying, hey, I want nothing to do with this. Because if I'm being completely honest about my opinions, I'm 85 or 90% with Jimmy and Aaron on this, and I'm 10 or 15% with the Young Turks. That's my honest opinion about it. Now, I could break it down and give every little specific as to how I calculate I'm 85 or 90% with...
Well, just give us... Let's make it easy, Kyle. I'll make it so easy for you. Just give us the 10 or 15% of the TYT. It's so much easier. We know the rest. We know Jimmy's right. You know, you should be 100% on his side like the rest of the goddamn internet is. That's why the Young Turks have abandoned them and ratioed them all across the internet. This is happening to you too, Kyle, because you're wrong. So let's make it easy for Kyle Kalinske. Hey, Kyle, someone tweet this at Kyle Kalinske. Someone tweet this at Secular Talk right now. Show him a little clip of this or give him a link to this show and say, hey, Kyle, you know, from this time in my show, where's this in? At an hour and 5 minutes in. So give it to him from an hour in. Just give us the 10 to 15% of why you side with the Young Turks on this. 10 and 15%. Just give us that. All right?
With Jimmy, or 10 or 15% with TYT on this. But suffice to say, there's a giant difference between saying, I think there's 50% blame here, 50% blame here, and just saying, hey, I just don't want to be involved in this. Can you please understand why I wouldn't want to be involved in this? So there is no equivalence. I don't think there's any equivalence in this fight. I'm very much more on one side of this. But I don't want to have anything to do with it because it is ugly and it is personal, even though they would claim it's not ugly or personal. Again, I don't know how they make that claim, but they do try to make that claim. And then a few other points here which I think are important. He brings up how it's a McCarthyite smear campaign. Totally agree. Totally agree. And Jimmy, you know that because in my previous segment, which you watched, I say, that's correct. Your guys are being McCarthy smeared, for sure. So, again, it's weird because I feel like I'll say something, they agree to it, and then they'll bring it up again later as, like, a strike against me, as if I'm...
When people start McCarthy smearing you, there's a problem. They're being defensive. Why? Because they're wrong. That's the only reason you do something like that, man. When you know you're the party that's really the one at fault. You know, you're the one that beats your children. You know? You're the one that goes out, gets elected and says, these people are bad. You know?
Feeding into X, Y, or Z. But I'm not, because I'm on the record on all those things, and I don't agree with the McCarthy smears. And I don't agree with the smearing of Aaron. I don't agree with the threats they did to you, so on and so forth. But he actually ends up, in that little clip there, showing another reason why I didn't want to get involved. Because, so, you know, TYT, to one extent or another, was basically arguing Jimmy Dore's a misogynist, right? That's one of the arguments that they're making. And so Jimmy's response, along with Aaron...
Jimmy Dore is not a misogynist. Let me tell you something. He respects the hell out of women. He loves women. He empowers women. He speaks out for women. And, you know, that is so... It's such a narrative on how he feels about women by who he has married, Steph Zamorano. Because she's superwoman, you know, and she's all about women's rights and why would he want to be with someone like that if he was anti-woman?
And others was to say, oh, this is total hypocrisy because look at these old clips where they're talking about, you know, the pussies of various celebrities or whatever. But they didn't stop there. If they stopped there, fair enough. That's a decent point, right? They didn't stop there.
It is
they
a decent point.
And said, look, they're such hypocrites, and also they're the real misogynists.
They are.
Because in the same way, Jimmy, that I actually defend the initial...
No, it's a valid point. They are the real misogynists. Jimmy Dore is not. I was just telling you that Jimmy Dore is not. And they are at the Young Turks. They objectified... No, he is coked out. He is coked out, Chuckles. Chuckles, McGuffey, McGriddle, McGee. I promise you. He is coked out, but no, this is sped up. So to not waste y'all's time, I want to get through it as quick as possible and still have it coherent for y'all. I hope the sound is good. Dami, thank you for the 3 and thank you for sharing this video, brother.
Incident here where I say, no, I think your interpretation is probably correct. That you made a joke and now she's being weaponized against you years later. So, what, you can't make a joke? So I don't think that's misogyny. I also don't think those old segments are misogyny.
What? Guess the camel toe? Is it misogynistic? That's not disrespectful to women? Putting a photograph of an actress's groin, you know, up close when she's wearing yoga pants out in public and, you know, or stepping out of a car or whatever. And that's what they did. And then they would put those shots on their website for everyone to go see. They're horribly misogynist. What would you call revenge porn, Kyle? What would you call posting someone else's revenge porn? That's not misogynistic?
In fact, okay, this is going to be controversial to say, but that's back when I loved TYT. When TYT, you know, had the news hour, and then they had the Howard Stern hour, I wouldn't miss a fucking episode. I thought it was the best thing in the world. Listen, I'm in favor of jokes, and I'm in favor of fucking around, because I'm a big fan of political incorrectness, and I do see this hypocrisy of, like, people want to give themselves a pass for the political incorrectness.
Oh,
then,
sunshine on my shoulder makes me happy.
And I don't like that game. That's a gutter game, and that's
When I got
another reason why
sunshine
I'm
on my shoulder.
break all this down and give all my more nuanced opinions on it. Let's continue.
So now Kyle went on to do a segment with Jen Uger's nephew instead of me. That is hardly staying out of it. And he let, and the subject, of course, came up. And here's how they covered it.
They stay out of, like, all the fucking Jimmy Dore drama or whatever the fuck's going on in any given moment. Like, people will always come in and they're like, dude, what do you think about this? I'm like, no.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. Like,
We were all sympathetic there.
That didn't go very far, did it?
Talk about, like, literally using a pocket pussy than that. Which I do. I talk about a variety of different things. I just don't think that, like...
It's just hilarious that they're all that. Oh, good thing he didn't say my news. Anyway, so they're laughing off. They're framing it as Jimmy Dore drama, which is unbelievably disingenuous and a disservice to what's happening. And it's
I don't know. Pocket Pussy's kind of misogynistic too, and disrespectful towards women. And to use that, and did you hear the way Crystal and Kyle both laughed at that joke? That's a little misogynistic, Kyle. This is too easy, man. I feel like hard bastard. Ugh.
dishonest framing by news people who should know better, and they do know better because I already told them. Because they're doing that. I already sent them that text.
Cheers, guys. If you guys are sharing this like Dami, thank you. I love you guys.
Actually,
Cheers.
that's what we were recording when you texted us, and it was after that episode that we responded to you, and then you responded to us. But put that aside, that's neither here nor there. There's a bunch of things I have to say in response to this. See, this is where everything really changes. Because, again, early on, they were very fair. They were like, hey, you know, Kyle's right on Force the Vote. He helped us a lot. He was eloquent. I think basically they're arguing, yeah, he's a good faith actor. And then now here, they're really reading into this clip a lot of stuff that's just not there. So he seems to believe that it's like a slight or a potshot at him that we spoke to Jank's nephew. But if you follow anything about Hassan Piker, he's no longer just Jank's nephew. In fact, he very openly disagrees with Jank on a zillion things. For the same dumb tweet about sky gods with Israel-Palestine as Aaron Monte did. He's his own man, and he's one of the top Twitch streamers in the world. To have on Jake's nephew, he said he's not even going to comment on it, and then I respond, quote, I feel the same way. That's all I say in the clip. And Crystal says, we're all simpatico there. We make the point, we don't want to get involved in it, and you interpret that as tacit endorsement of the Young Turks, and the smears against Aaron and you, and the threat that was made against you? No. Let me be clear.
No.
Big I think you and Aaron were smeared. I think they threatened you. You had every right to defend yourself. I do think you went a little too far in your defense.
Steamroller, right on.
Slut-shaming Hannah. But you guys are right on the policies. You have every reason to be upset. All that stuff is true, and it's also true that everything we said in this clip stands on its own two legs. Namely, the point I was making was, I don't want to get in the middle of this because I don't want to get in the middle of it. In other words, I want to avoid the exact same fucking thing I'm doing right now. I don't have to do this segment. I don't have to talk about this. I don't have to dissect this 1,000 different ways to Sunday. All I wanted to do, Aaron and Jimmy, was to be out of this. That's it. All I wanted to do was to not interject myself. But now I feel like, you know, my hand was forced, and so I have to comment on it, and I'm losing a lot of friends over this. I know not only, it's not just Jimmy and Aaron that hate me now, also, of course, the people at the Young Turks would hate me now, because why wouldn't they? I'm saying I 90% disagree with them on the shit that's going on, so...
Now it's 90%.
So he's reading so much into this clip, and this is the new...
It used to be 85, now it's 90.
At times, whenever I say stuff they agree with, there's an underlying charitability that they have for me. But then when I say stuff like this, which is actually relatively benign, they read malintent into it, as if it was a shot at Jimmy, when it wasn't a shot at Jimmy. And it wasn't some sort of tacit endorsement of the shit that TYT was doing. It was literally exactly what it says at face value there. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Sometimes, hey, I want to stay out means I just want to stay out. All right, let's continue.
That clip right there, when I saw that, that to me opens up, with that clip, I think that they invited themselves up to Chris. People are wondering why we're talking about this now.
That's right.
That clip right there was basically belittling, I think. That's why I took it, the concerns that we have. Because it's one thing if you want to decide, look, I don't want to comment on an issue. You don't have to comment on an issue. No one's going to force you. I personally was disappointed that people like them stayed silent. If they had been smeared like that, I think I can confidently say that I was spoken up, because I don't think that kind of smearing should be tolerated. But whatever, you can't demand that someone speak up for you. Okay, but to say, if they just said, you know what, we don't want to talk about this, period. But then they don't just say that. Then they try to justify it by doing two things. One is they draw, as you told them, this false equivalency between a joke you made 7 years ago and you apologized for, and what they did, which is smearing me and then trying to blackmail you with this ridiculous sexual harassment claim. Okay, there's no equivalency between that, and that's why, as you said, it's not a war, it's a smear campaign. And then going publicly and actually commenting on it by basically belittling the whole thing and dismissing it as Jimmy Dore drama. It's not Jimmy Dore drama. It's us pushing back against the smear campaign, which we have the right to do. And if you're going to belittle us for doing that, you're basically taking the side of the smear campaign.
What? It baffles me that they could watch that clip and think that's me saying I'm basically taking the side of the smear campaign. That's me saying exactly what I said there, which is I just don't want to be involved in this. I just want to get out of this. That's all it is. I mean, they're reading so much into that when none of it was actually said. So, I mean, let's go through it. They keep bringing up false equivalents, false equivalents, false equivalents. I don't know how I can be any more clear. I'm 85 or 90% with Aaron and Jimmy on
85 again.
I'm with them on Russia and Syria and forced the vote. With them in the sense that Aaron was smeared, they threatened Jimmy, and that was totally unfair. He had every right to swat aside those allegations. All that is true. Literally, the only point of disagreement is, I think when Jimmy was swatting aside those allegations, he went too far, and he slut-shamed Dana, and talking about how she dressed inappropriately and everybody could see her ass and all that stuff. I think that went too far.
That's not too far, Kyle. That's reporting the facts. Everyone could see Anna's ass. Nobody's slut-shaming Anna by saying she bent over in the office and was wearing inappropriate clothing. Is that a mannequin with a podcast? Dude, he had some kind of fucking spray tan on at the beginning. I think it's wearing off now because he's sweating it off. It's seething out his pores, bro. What's up, Billy?
It's really my only disagreement with you guys. And guess what? I wanted to keep it to myself, but you kept insisting I got involved. And so now here I am getting involved. You know, and I don't know how else to say it.
Hey, do you want me to send you less bandwidth, Steamroller? Watch this. I'm going to reduce my bandwidth for you. There you go. There, I reduced my bandwidth by 1/3 for you, bro. See if this helps.
Because I was crystal clear there. I just didn't want to say anything. And then it's like you guys kept insisting I got involved. Then I told you what I really thought, and my 90% disagreement wasn't enough. It needed to be 100% agreement, or you do an hour-long segment where you come after me. It just honestly really is amazing. It's like, watch it. This is like the Twilight Zone. Because they keep saying that I believe things or I'm saying things.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
saying
wired.
I don't believe. And I don't know how else to rebut it other than to keep reiterating. I don't believe the things you're saying I believe. I don't. They say the clip was belittling the concerns you have. No, it wasn't. The clip was saying, look, I just don't want to get involved in this. I just don't want to get in the middle of it because it's really ugly and it's really personal. Anything that's substantive, policy-wise, I'm always going to...
Hey, you guys, is the internet connection okay for everybody? No, I don't think Kyle Kalinske is gay.
Comment on it. But in terms of throwing myself in the middle of the fucking #MeToo stuff and the blackmail stuff and this and that was the last thing I ever wanted. The last thing I wanted. Why would I get in the middle of that when anybody's involved? Never mind 3 people who I know myself. So, you know... And they said, like, oh, they said they don't want to comment on an issue. Well, you don't have to if you don't want to. But wait, that's what I said in the clip, is I don't want to comment on the issue. And I was acting like I don't have to, so I'm just going to say I want to comment on it. And then I was proceeded to be dragged into this debate. We'll get to more on that in a little bit. And one more thing, Aaron says there, I would have spoken up if they were smeared like that. We already established that he didn't.
Hey, can anybody else tell me if they're having a good connection to the show right now or not? This guy, Steamroller, keeps complaining. How's the rest of y'all's connection? Can anybody tell me? At all? Can you guys answer me at all?
But again, I don't hold that against him. He didn't do anything wrong. You don't owe me anything, Aaron. You're not entitled, I'm not entitled to your defense on anything. Whether it's my old tweets, whether it's Crystal's thing, where Nathan J. Robinson argues she's enables or emboldens Nazis. We're not entitled to anything, man, and it's okay. It's okay. And by the way, I get Russiagated and McCarthy smeared all the time. I debated Jake on Russiagate. Everybody knows that. Louis Mensch came after me, and I didn't see many people respond at all. At least no prominent lefties. So, but it's okay. I'm not saying that as a gotcha. I'm just saying that so that please just extend the same charitability to me that I do to you.
Thanks,
okay?
Billy.
The charitability I extend to you is I don't assume you're just like in league with
Thank
all
you,
of my
Dom.
enemies de facto or default. I don't do that, and you shouldn't do that either because how many times I have to go through it? I agree with you guys on almost all the policies. Anyway, continue.
Also, to go ahead and talk about it and misframe it like that, and to do it with Jake's nephew, is you're not pressing pause, you're not staying out of it. It's almost the exact opposite.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you didn't get dragged into this. Kyle Kalinske inserted himself into this. Kyle did that on purpose, and didn't have to, but he did, and that's obvious. So that's why the next day on Twitter, people were saying, "Hey, Kyle, why don't you cover the story and the thing?" And I liked a tweet, and that's what set him off to do this video.
Yep, he
He
did.
says that last part is important. He says, "Oh, the next day on Twitter, somebody said, why don't you cover that and the thing?" And I liked it, and that's what set him off.
So that's why the next day on Twitter, people were saying, "Hey, Kyle, why don't you cover the story and the thing?" And I liked a tweet, and that's what set him off to do this video.
Okay, Jimmy, you know the specifics of that. The specifics of that are, I'll throw it up on the screen now. The tweet he liked said, "Crystal and Kyle, seriously though, you're ignoring the Syria story completely to avoid drama? Weak. The reason that set me off, Jimmy, is because I didn't ignore the Syria story at all. In fact, I covered Biden bombing Syria the day before. Okay? I covered that as the first story the day before.
That's
And
not...
the
Whoa! Whoa, Biden bombing Syria is not the Syria story. That's fucking shifty as fuck, Kyle. Look at you. So you guys that are keeping up with this, you guys know that's some bullshit. That's not the Syria story. That was very recent. The Syria story? Holy shit.
Stream in my very last live stream. So let me show that.
So we're the rebels in Syria we are the rebels in Syria doing the chemical attacks on the people. So we are.
This is the serious story right here. And this is not on his main show. Not for his regular Kyle Kalinske show. You can see he's not wearing his suit. He's not taking himself as seriously. He's got a stupid map behind him on the wall. Which is, you know, Kyle, I think it's cool that you're chilling somewhere in your home and you're broadcasting or whatever. But at the same time, man, you should at least respect your audience and do something with the backdrop, you know?
We're. It says WE'. I think this person is saying...
Close the door 5 times when they leave.
Was it the rebels that did the chemical attacks on the people in Syria? You guys had to, you know, follow this stuff. The OPCW whistleblower.
Sunbeam, man, look at this. We got a sunbeam with smoke rings.
It turns out that all the claims from the Western governments were total bullshit, and they had no evidence for it. So yes, the claims of the chemical attacks against the civilians in Syria done by the Assad government, that turns out to be total bullshit. And it's not me saying it. It's whistleblowers who were at the UN who were like, that's not true at all. This was a big story, but it was kind of hidden. It was only like Aaron Monte and a handful of other people who really blew the whistle on it. So, and listen, I'm going to toot my own horn here a little bit, but yeah, I called that one from the beginning. It was very similar to this, it has weapons of mass destruction, and it was not true. And in the case of Assad, I don't know if you guys remember this. Remember when Assad gave up all of his chemical weapons? Remember that? There was a moment where it was like John Kerry and some Russian counterpart doing a press conference, and they basically said, is there anything that Syria could do to make you not like attack or invade? And basically, Kerry said something like, yeah, give up all your chemical weapons, but that's not going to happen. And then the very next day, or within the next week, Assad was like, here, take all my chemical weapons. And they did. They came and they took all the chemical weapons. And so it's funny that like everybody forgets that part. But then they go on to say, well, obviously he was attacking civilians with gas. So in other words, at a time when he already basically won the war, he was going to attack his own civilians with gas, which would bring the West right back into it. It's nonsense. And it turns out we learned it was total nonsense.
So that's why I feel like I was dragged into it, because I feared that since I was trying to stay out of it, right, I said I want to stay out of this. Yes, I said it with Hassan Piker. I don't think that's damning. It was just happened to be with Hassan Piker when I said it. I said it a number of times. One of the times I was with Hassan Piker. Yes, I said I want to be involved in it. And then Jimmy took a clip where I said I don't want to be involved in it, and somehow made that I'm not doing my job right on Syria or the OPCW leaks. So a passive-aggressive thing to try to prod me to talk about that.
Hey, Malik, what's up, buddy?
So then, that's the thing. If I'm right on the policies, and I just want to stay out of the drama, then what's the problem? There should be no problem. There should be no problem at all. And when he says I inserted myself in the middle of it, how? How did I insert myself in the middle of it? How? Because I talked to Hassan Piker, Jenks' nephew, who also didn't want to talk about this? I don't understand. I genuinely don't understand. Guys, I mean this sincerely. You're reading so much into nothing.
There were tweets that Kyle put up about this that I saw that he's not mentioning. He was talking shit, man. He inserted himself in it.
Reading into a clip where we're laughing and saying we don't want to be involved in the Jimmy Dore drama. Now, by the way, I didn't say those words. Hassan Piker said those words, and he easily could have said TYT drama or Jimmy Dore and TYT drama. By the way, I would have reacted the same way if he said Steven Crowder and Sam Cedar drama. I would react the exact same way, because I don't like getting involved when it gets personal. When it gets personal, okay? So, but that part was actually one of the more frustrating ones to me, when he sort of downplays him liking that tweet, because what did I fear when I saw him do that? I was like, oh no, Jimmy's going to start going out there on his show and taking shots at me and acting like I'm not doing my job on Syria when I'm doing my job on Syria. You know, so that's why I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. So I said I want to stay out of it, and I'm doing my job on Syria.
Smoke rings in the sunbeam, bro.
He views me trying to stay out of it as me interjecting or siding with TYT.
I don't celebrate 4th of July. We're an imperialist country. We shouldn't celebrate 4th of July.
I'll never know exactly what happened.
Celebrate cannabis every day, bro.
I don't think he's a criminal. I don't think this is a hashtag #MeToo thing.
I appreciate you saying that. That was also very nice. I appreciate him saying that. Thank you. I will appreciate it if it's not a hashtag #MeToo thing. Then you should have said she's fucking weaponizing this in a disingenuous, sleazy way. That would have been an honest way to talk about this. But he didn't say that. She's allowed to do a fake thing, a bullshit thing, and to try to deflect and distract everybody from her McCarthy smears, and no one's going to call her on that.
But my issue with the thing we just saw
Listen to this. This
is what he just said right there.
Unbelievable.
Oh, she dresses inappropriate. Inappropriate? Who the fuck are you to determine what is and isn't appropriate for her? Are you a fundamentalist Christian? I mean, that's like some hardcore Republican thing to say. And if I'm being objective about this, even though Jimmy's my friend, if somebody spoke about my mom or my sister or my girlfriend like that, it would take every fiber of my being to not want to beat the shit out of them.
Wow.
Because that's humiliating. And he admits that it was a humiliating thing in the segment, but then it doesn't occur to you that maybe bringing this up again and talking about it in the way you're talking about it is like gonna humiliate her yet again?
Okay, what Kyle's leaving out there, unfortunately.
And let me say this. Number one, my mother or my sister would never go to a work area, wear a skirt where if they bent over you could see their G-string. They wouldn't even wear something like that around the house, Kyle. You fucking idiot. Is that how you were raised, Kyle? Is that how your mom used to dress, Kyle? Is that how your sister used to dress, Kyle? That explains a lot. That's why you think this is slut shaming. Because maybe Anna reminds you of your mother or something.
That he's committing, and he's doing this on purpose. He's pretending like I just started to tell that story again for no reason. He's leaving out the part that Anna Kasparian blackmailed me.
You know what, Jimmy? You're right. I didn't
Kyle
pause and reflect on
Kuklinski.
that. I didn't make a point of saying, yeah, she's threatening
Right.
you. She's trying to muzzle you.
And
that's not okay.
Death,
I should have done that.
Dave.
I should have made that point. I should have been more forthright with that. All I did was put your segment on the screen where you could see the tweet, and everybody saw that she was reaching out to you to say, hey, stop talking or else. But no, you're right. There's no excuse. I should have brought that up, and I apologize for not bringing that up. You're right, and I think that's a fair description of events. I do. I will say, though, it's interesting, because yet again in this clip, it goes back and forth from basically saying I'm an honest person to saying I'm doing something misleading, quote, on purpose. At the beginning of the segment, when I say you're not a sex pest, you're not a criminal, this isn't a Me Too thing, it's, well, thank you for admitting that, I appreciate it. But then when I listen to you, it's, oh, I'm being misleading on purpose. Or when I let something out, oh, you're leaving that out on purpose. I mean, I don't understand why you continue to oscillate back and forth between I'm honest, I'm dishonest, I'm honest, I'm dishonest. I can assure you everything I'm saying is coming from an honest place, whether or not you agree with it, which gets to my final point on it, which is, listen, man, I agree with you. They weaponize this against you. They try to muzzle you. That's totally
Succular talk.
I also think that when you were swatting
I
aside
love
things,
it.
even though it's a tough situation, even though it's unfair you were even in that position and had to do that,
Succular talk.
you did overreach, you did go too far, you did slut
Smoke
shame,
rings,
you said she
smoke
was dressing
rings, guys,
inappropriately,
in the
and you
sunbeam.
said everybody could see your ass and all that stuff. Sorry. And I do think that
Nothing
if you
left
watch
in
Pat
it.
Robertson or Bill O'Reilly make a comment like that, you would criticize it. Rightfully so. Because it's worthy of criticism. And that's, by the way, my only criticism of you here. But, you know, it's, you're making it seem like that's absurd. And it's not absurd.
So if Kyle's going to clutch his pearls and somehow say whatever garbage he's trying to validate that I said she dressed inappropriately, please don't say inappropriate. Oh my God, and you know how that stings.
Right. Like that's,
wrong
this
with
is what
you?
I said.
You're
Like
over
that's
yourself.
somehow slut shaming. It's not slut
If
shaming.
you're going to do that, I'm going to have to show this tweet of you interacting with Anna. And he tweeted out, if Jen Buger masturbates live on the Young Turks, viewers drops to 12 people. If Anna Kasparian does, viewers go up to 6,000. Hashtag TYT Live.
Wow.
Now, this is Jimmy trying to hypocrisy burn me. But there's a problem. I defended him for his old joke. Go back to the first segment and listen to what I said. I say, hey, the original incident, what do you want me to tell you? I don't think he's a sex pest. I don't think he's a criminal.
Cheers, guys.
I tend to, you know,
Just
lean in the
smoking
direction
for
of how he
smoke
describes
rings.
the events. He made a joke, and, you know, maybe it crossed the line, maybe it didn't, but hey, that's not the thing that's an issue to me. That's why I say that's not the thing that's an issue. So notice something. I defended him on his bad joke because I have standards and I have principles, and he turned around and attacked me on my joke. I defended him on his joke. He attacked me on my joke because he thought that this was a hypocrisy burn because he's acting like I went after him for his bad joke when I didn't do that. I didn't do that at all. See, this is what I mean when I say he goes nuclear. He's now determined, because of what I said, that his enemy on this, so therefore, fling anybody against the wall, and if it sticks, it's okay. And so he pulls up an old tweet of mine to be like, aha, see? Hypocrite. And you're the one who says raunchy stuff. You're the one who says edgy stuff.
Bullshit,
I'm
Kyle.
pro edgy stuff. I'm pro raunchy stuff. I'm pro fun. I'm pro joke. I never said otherwise. I'm massively politically incorrect. So are you. And you know what? I love that about you, buddy. I love that about you. But don't try to do this silly hypocrisy burning when there's no hypocrisy there at all. The only thing I took issue with was what you said.
You're calling Jimmy a
Well,
misogynist. You're
slut
saying that he's fucking slut shaming,
You said
Kyle.
that's inappropriate.
You're the
It's literally
fucking
ironic
hypocrite
because
here.
you're
This
saying
is
I'm clutching my pearls
crazy.
by making that criticism.
He's
When you
lost
say a
his
woman dresses
mind.
inappropriately,
Too many
that's
fucking
clutching your
nose
pearl. To
candy
say a woman
rails.
dressing inappropriately is the definition of pearl clutching. That is some shit Pat Robertson or Bill O'Reilly would say. And if they did say it, you would make fun of it.
I don't think this is about career ambitions. I just want to
No,
make
I
that
don't
clear.
think so. I disagree with that.
This must, you know, like,
Band ice
obviously
cream.
they have personal friendships with these smear artists, and okay, it's hard to go against your friends.
Here's the thing. I said early on, I said for as long as I possibly could, I want to stay out of this, I want to stay out of this, I want to stay out of this, I want to stay out of this. Not only because I know everybody involved, but also because it's ugly and it's personal. But you know what? At a certain point, I was dragged in and I couldn't stay out. So you know what I did then? I told the truth exactly as I see it. And my reward for that was losing all of my friends.
Your
It would've been a lot
problem here
easier
is this.
on me and for my life if I picked a
Because
side.
the truth as you see it, Kyle, is incorrect because you weren't paying attention to the fact that Jimmy Dore wasn't slut shaming, and you literally just showed the part where Jimmy Dore explains, "I'm not slut shaming." You can hear his wife in the background supporting him. He's not slut shaming Anna. He's just saying it was inappropriate. It was inappropriate. It was inappropriate. This is just fucking psychotic. Hey, Chris.
Full throttle. Instead, I told the truth exactly as I see
Full
it.
Throttle?
And
I was in a band
no,
called Full
Aaron
Throttle.
and Jimmy are not very happy with me, and I know TYT is not very happy with me. So, no good deed goes unpunished. If you tell the truth exactly as you see it, sometimes you alienate everybody. That's exactly what happened with me. And, by the way, to that first part, they say, oh, listen, this isn't a careerist ambition thing, he's not serving the establishment. The reason they said that, and thank you guys, I appreciate that, sincerely, but the reason they have to say that is because there are people, some in my audience, but, you know, from Jimmy's audience as well, who, because I'm making a criticism of him, they think, well, I must be a sellout. And by definition, a sellout because I'm critical of Jimmy. And, that's a common theme. That's a common theme where somebody disagrees with Jimmy. A lot of people immediately think they're a sellout. And they think there are very few maybe no good faith critics of Jimmy. To be fair to Jimmy and Aaron, they are not saying that. They're saying quite the opposite. They're saying he's not, an establishment suck-up or a careerist. But now there are people who think I am, because I'm critical of Jimmy in certain ways on this story, very limited ways, by the way, but enough for them to think I'm a sellout or a careerist or whatever. Hilarious. I literally have zero ambitions. I want to keep doing my show exactly as it is.
You would have preferred that he came out and said what was actually happening and put a stop to the smears. That's really what his announcement should have been.
All he had to do was points. It's awfully fucked up what Ann and Jake are doing. It's just, and everybody knows it, and that's that.
It is a point of agreement. I agree with that.
But at least don't belittle Jimmy and myself for pushing back. And at least don't try to draw a bullshit false equivalency. Because ultimately, that just helps the smear artist, and that's not fair. It's not fair to you or me. And to just, and to the cause of the left in general. It's actually enabling a very toxic thing. So I hope the people will think about that.
Look at how slow Aaron Mate talks, that when we have him sped way up, he sounds like he's talking like a normal person. Isn't that fucking funny? Why are Kyle's sound foam blocks all below the decibel line? That's fucking useless. That's funny.
And I think after this we can move on. We've said a lot on this.
Because it's for show?
I hope Kyle listens to his audience too, because he got a pretty resounding message from them as well.
The mistakes that I will own up to, and I already did in this segment, number one, not stopping and making a very clear point about how they did threaten you with that tweet, and they were effective.
But I'll tell you what, Billy, and you know this. If he's on a tile or a wood floor, then those are well placed, actually. You know that.
Trying to muzzle you, and that's wrong. And they shouldn't have done that, and I should have called that out immediately. I apologize for not doing it. I'm doing it right this second, because it was gross. What they did was gross. And I also apologize for not letting Jimmy know earlier.
But, an area rug does really well. You put down a couple of floor mats, area rugs, you cover that surface up. You keep that reflection off of there, so you get that more natural, warm sound in that room.
About canceling Crystal Kyle and friends. Those are things that I definitely have regrets for. What I'll say on your end, though, is, for the love of God, please stop trying to read between the lines in my statements and my actions. Anybody who's followed this show for a long time, and, I honestly thought Jimmy definitely would know this at this late date. Everything is face value. Everything about me is face value. I say what I believe, and I mean what I say. And so there's no reason to, read the tea leaves or try to interpret why I'm doing X, Y, or Z. I'll tell you why I'm doing X, Y, or Z. So when I say I want to stay out, that means I want to stay out. Not I'm boosting the narrative of the opposition or whatever. So, listen, I also want to say I'm not trying to belittle you guys. I agree 85%.
He's not trying to belittle us, right? When you said he thinks we're all fucking idiots. Dude, right when End the Fed says, End the Fed, I get it. When End the Fed says, Kyle thinks we're all fucking idiots, Kyle says this.
Listen, final thing I'll say is, I hope this cleared some stuff up. I hope that you realize that, talk about it. So, whatever. So, listen, X, Y, or Z. So when I say I want to stay out, that means I want to stay out. Not I'm boosting the narrative of the opposition or whatever. So, listen, I honestly thought Jimmy definitely would know this at this late date. Everything is face value. Everything about me is face value. I say what I believe. And I mean what I say. And so there's no reason to, read the tea leaves or try to interpret why I'm doing X, Y, or Z. I'll tell you why I'm doing X, Y, or Z. So when I say I want to stay out, so there's no reason to, everything is face value. Who's followed this show for a long time, and, I honestly thought Jimmy definitely would know this at this late date. I'll say on your end, though, is, for the love of God, please stop trying to read between the lines in my letting Jimmy know earlier about canceling Crystal Kyle and friends. Those are things that I definitely have regrets for. What I'll say on your end, though, is, for the love of God, please...
I don't know where that was. I missed it. It must be after. It must be later.
Please stop trying to read between the lines in my statements and my actions. Anybody who's followed this show for a long time, and, I honestly thought Jimmy definitely would know this at this late date. Everything is face value. Everything about me is face value. Whatever. I say what I believe. And I mean what I say. And so there's no reason
you just misinterpret it.
Read the tea leaves or try to interpret why I'm doing X, Y, or Z. I'll tell you why I'm doing X, Y, or Z. So when I say I want to stay out, that means I want to stay out. Not I'm boosting the narrative of the opposition or whatever. So, listen, I also want to say, I'm not trying to belittle you guys.
There it
I agree 85 or 90% with you, but on the areas where I disagree, I'm going to talk about it. So, listen, I want to say, I'm not trying to belittle you guys. I want to say, I'm not trying to belittle you guys. I want to say, I'm not trying to belittle you guys. I agree 85 or 90% with you. I want to say,
With you, with everyone.
I'm not trying to belittle you guys. I agree 85 or 90% with you, but I'm not trying to belittle you guys. I agree 85 or 90% with you, but on the areas where I disagree, I'm going to talk about it. I'm
You're
not
a
trying to
pussy.
belittle you guys. I agree 85 or 90% with you, but on the areas where I disagree, I'm going to talk about it.
You are a pussy, bro. You're letting your friendship with Anna totally cloud your judgment. There is absolutely no slut shaming going on. Here's the very end, everybody. Here's the very end for this one dude.
So, listen, final thing I'll say is, I hope this cleared some stuff up. I hope that you realize that my criticisms in return are also coming from a completely genuine place.
Hey,
and
Blaze.
I hope you understand my motivations more after this segment.
Oh, you're so cool. What is that a picture of? What is that supposed to be a fucking picture of? You? Please. Oh my god. Scotty Kilmer. How to raise testosterone. 10 times your watch time. I can make you guys watch 10 times longer. It says there's only 13 people here, man. Can you believe that? Only 13 people interested in this show. It just breaks my hat. It breaks my hat. You're breaking my hat. Omitting key facts. Why would YouTube think I want to raise my testosterone, I wonder? Because I watch videos about fasting and I watched this video where this guy was the 10 best workouts for a man. I guess that's why. You're the 13 people. Right? Well, Billy, you take care, brother. You are the 13 people. It's fucking funny. Dominic, you guys, thank you so much for watching. And Chris, you says you count for 10 people. I love you guys. It's an hour and 36-minute show. Hey, it's 7:10 right now. Happy 7:10. I think I smoked enough. I'll see you guys tomorrow. How's that? You guys take care. Bye now.